Okay, it says we are live, and you can see there we're a minute or two ahead of schedule, about 2 minutes, 2 minutes to 4 o'clock, the 4 o'clock hour. Starting a little bit early today because I haven't had lunch, and so that way I can wrap up early and have a late lunch, early dinner. Depending on when we wrap up, probably will be dinner time. So we're going to talk about this beauty, the titanium diver Grand Seiko SBGA231, I think. And I like it for a whole lot of reasons. And Tim just did a review, another one, a review. And here's a little close-up shot of that dial, that stunning dial. And he likes it too. Imagine that. Folks are starting to like the 231. I've been talking about it for a little bit over a year now. And folks are starting to come around that this is a stunner, that this is really the best dive watch that you can buy for the money, and maybe the best dive watch you can buy, period, for all around use. And I'm going to go in here and see if I can get into the chat, make sure that we're live, because I broke down everything and had to put everything back up again. Okay, so it looks like we are live, and we've got Carlos in the house. He's got a wrench. He's wielding a wrench. Ray's in the house. And so, and by the way, I broke down this whole system and took a lot of gear down to Adventure Park to do some of that testing. He's bought a bunch of gear as well. He's got some more coming later this week. He's going to have a TV studio set up like this down at Adventure Park. We're going to be working with him. So I had to configure everything here today, so it was a chance for me to clean everything up and not have as much of a rat's nest where all the wires are behind here, and reset everything up. Bark and Jack talks a lot lately about the GSGMT. Yeah, absolutely he does. I don't blame him. It's a stunner. And by the way, I knocked that one off of the it's on like a bar stool there that I've got the camera trained on. And when I was messing around with all these wires, I still had the watch up on there from the other day. And I bumped the stool, and the watch rolled and fell off. It's on that pad, right? And it fell off, and it hit the bottom of the mic stand that is supporting the camera, the base of it. And I heard a metallic to metallic clang, right? I'm like, oh my goodness. But I've examined the watch, and I really can't find a ding on it. So I don't know what hit where. Something hit. So anyway, we've shock tested the GMT from it's probably about 4 foot high, bar stool height. We shock tested that puppy. And later on, if we think about it, I'll put it side by side with the atomic clock, and we'll see if it's still accurate. So that's what we do around here is we put these watches through their paces, and they are pretty heavy-duty, rugged pieces, if you ask me. So, yeah, I mean, I think the 231 is a fantastic option. He commented about the 22 millimeter wide bracelet and how that makes it look very contemporary. I think it just makes it look great. And he also commented about the lug, the shape of the lugs, and how they conform to the wrist, and how it fits like a smaller watch. Even though it's 44 mils, it wears more like a 40 or 42, was his comment. And his comments were spot on. There was one thing he said, let me think, that was wrong, and I'm trying to remember now what it was. There was one point he made that I was going to send a little correction to him, but now, of course, now I can't think of what it was. Anyway, maybe you guys will think of what it was in the chat. Now, one thing he does often comment about is the pins and collars, or pins and pipes, or whatever term Seiko uses for the way the removable links are removed. And I had a subscriber call earlier, and we were talking about this on the phone. And keep in mind that the pin and collar system that they use on this bracelet is really the best solution. The only reason that they would go to screws is because everybody's bitching and moaning about the pins and collars, because they're a little bit trickier to press out and resize, right? But the huge advantage to them is the flexibility that it allows in the bracelet and the lack of wear and tear, because that entire pin freewheels in there. Because of the way it's designed, the pin goes through and the collar slips on, but it still is allowed to totally freewheel. Whereas like with Rolex, where you have a screw going through the center link and then it's screwed into the link on the far side, it's fixed and locked in place. As that bracelet pivots on that shaft, right, obviously you're going to get more wear and tear because it can't float, right? So this is really a better design, and a lot of Patek Philippe watches have a similar design. Now what Seiko did on some of their watches with the screws, like this watch right here, is you have little screws on either side and a pin in the middle so the pin can still float. But the problem with that setup is you've got those tiny little screws that can easily be lost and are so tiny that you really have to know what you're doing to pull those out. I've actually pulled the pins and collars out on both this watch and on the Snowflake, and it's very doable, even with my marginal vision, right? So I'm here to tell you, in real life, real use conditions, the pin and collar on this watch in particular is a very good solution, because first of all, you're only going to have to size it once, really, because you have 4 micro adjustments here. So really you're going to need to get it so that it's got enough adjustment for summer and winter, right? And there is enough adjustment with these 4 micro adjustments. So you should only have to deal with links one time in the ownership of the watch, would be my guess. So I, for one, am glad that this has the pins and collars. So there you go. Once again, we don't follow the crowd on these kinds of things. It's definitely a stunner. And hi, Craig. All happy Sunday and Indy 500 day. Hey, can somebody put in the chat what's going on at the Indy? I haven't been paying any attention. Blue Shirt Buddha's in the house. He says hello. And Carlos is saying hello back. And David's in the house. And let's see here. Bark and Jack acknowledge that Grand Seiko is better quality than Rolex. Whoa. Okay. Excuse me. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. And I mean, in most respects, I mean, in most ways, it's pretty obvious. I do think that it would be nice if they offered more bracelets with micro adjustments, like this one has micro adjustment. They do have a micro adjustment on, I think, their GMT model, their Sport GMT model has a micro adjustment. It does not have the extension clasp, which is fine. That would be fine. The micro adjustment with no extension clasp makes it less bulky than this, not quite as thick, right, which is a good solution. I was a big fan of the old, remember the old Datejust, right? They had a Jubilee bracelet with micro adjustments. Let's see if I can see if they have a picture of it in here. I don't remember if it's in this owner's manual or not. It's owner's manual that came with, I think this came with the first watch I bought. I think this came with the Datejust. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I've had it around a long time. My first watch was a Datejust with an engine turn bezel. There we go. See that clasp? Whoops, right there. That's what they were fine. They were fine. Below they're stamped and all this stuff. They worked fine. They worked for years. They were nice and trim. They had micro adjustments. Nothing wrong with that, folks. Nothing wrong with that. Easy link and all this stuff. I don't know. I don't know, folks. Let's see here. Just 5 minutes ago. What just 5 minutes ago? Oh, by the way, how does the audio sound? I've reset up everything here, so it might be a little hot or a little low or whatever. Clive is in the house. Clive is in the house. I wonder if he also acknowledges now that that Grand Seiko is higher quality than Rolex. I wonder if he's gone along with Bark and Jack on that one. And of course, there's the 9F Stunner that's just keeping time right along. And yes, for those who say, oh, it's not hitting the markers, it is hitting the markers. It's just the camera angle, folks. Camera angle, as you watch it go around, at some point it'll start hitting the markers again. It's just the camera angle. That's all there is. It gets distorted. Like right there. Notice how it's getting real close to the markers right there. And then as it goes around, it'll change again. So that's how it works on the markers. Okay, audio sounds great, says David. David in the house. Hey there, buddy. Okay. Audio is very good, says Carlos. Audio is fine, says Blue Shirt Buddha. Sorry. Say again, over. So yeah, we're wondering if the Clivester is going to join the party and acknowledge that, generally speaking, the quality is better on Grand Seiko now these days than Rolex. Some people are saying that Rolex has slipped in quality a little bit. I don't know. I don't think they were ever perfect. Of course, a Date 8 is, generally speaking, going to be a little bit better than the lower line steel watches. They take a little more time with the all gold watches. But I don't know that they were ever perfect. They were tool watches. They were watches for people to wear and actually do things and work and so forth. They only became a piece of jewelry in the last 10 or 20 years. Now, back in the day, we bought the watches to wear them and enjoy them, and they were a status symbol. They were still expensive even then, relative to somebody's income. But they weren't the jewelry item that they tend to be now. I don't think. I think times have changed a little bit. So let's see. Let's get another photo up here on the laptop here. Let's pull up another photo from my library. Oh, let's do a Lume shot. What do you think? Let's show a Lume shot. Let's show the stunning Lume. People say, well, you know that, hey, you know, the Rolex at least has better Lume, right? Wrong. Nope. It doesn't it doesn't make it there either, folks. I hate to break the news to you. Know that the Grand Seiko Diver has better Lume also. Let's see here. Clive, selling off a lot of sport watches, really thinking about Date 840. Absolutely. Move in on a Date 840. Let me know if you want to Skype into the show and show some of those watches that you're trying to liquidate. We're bringing you in via Skype these days as opposed to Hangout because the quality is better on Skype. So let me know if you've got Skype, Clivester, and if you do, you can Skype in. And if you don't have my Skype number, email me and I'll send it to you because I can't give it out over the air because then everybody will be calling on Skype day and night. And so that's how that goes. David says, yes, go for Date 840. Absolutely. I hope he's going to go for yellow gold. I hope he's going to go for yellow gold. Okay, so let's pull up another photo. So there we go with the Lume shot, right? So let's see what else we got in the house here. See what else we got. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so this is a still. Pull this puppy up here too. This was before I got the 9F, so for official time I used the Apple Watch, right? For official time. And this is a still that was after, was it 2 months or 3 months? Let me see here real quick. This is 2 months. Okay, so this is 2 months. This is a still showing how accurate the diver was after 2 months, folks. 2 months. And it's basically inside of a second a month. It's probably about a third of a second fast a month. So after 3 months, it's probably a second fast, that type of thing. Maybe 4 months. It's just insanely accurate. No Skype. Oh, come on, Clive. Just put it on your iPhone. It's a free app. It's a free app. Put the app on your iPhone. Skype. Skype. Everybody needs to have Skype. Okay. All right. So let me. Hey. Okay. So we got accuracy. We got Lume. Let's see what else we got here. And Tim was the one that said it's pretty much all that. I mean, I'm just reporting the news here, folks. That's all I'm doing. Okay, let's look at this photo here. Let's pull up another photo here. And it looks pretty stunning. It looks pretty stunning, if you ask me. Oh, I don't like the hands or whatever. I think the hands look fine. They look great, very legible. And they got the points that point right to the markers. So you got the best of both worlds. You got a nice thick hand with a lot of lume on it, and then you've got that point at the end that points right to that minute marker. So it does that really well. There's all you don't like that. We don't have to have the energy gauge, you know, the indicator of how much reserve, the power reserve, right? Whatever you want to call it. We don't. That's distracting, or not in real life. It isn't. In these macro shots, maybe it is, but when you look at the time on this watch, you don't even notice that thing. After you've had the watch for a little while, you don't notice the power reserve indicator. It's a non-issue, folks. People are throwing up issues that are non-issues. White gold, like Carlos, is the way to go for data for whatever. No. The Clivester's a power player. He's a power player. He needs yellow gold, folks. Don't steer the Clivester wrong. He's in a low crime area. He doesn't have to worry about somebody popping him over the head. Let's see here. Oh, so you want a lume shot in a little bit more darkness? Let's see here. All right, somebody said they want another lume shot. Okay, so let's pull up another lume shot here. Here we go. There's another lume shot. People say, well, yeah, the lume's really not any good on the Grand Seiko. Well, no, actually, the lume is fantastic. I totally agree. As Carlos's day date 40 is stunning. White gold's with his day date is stunning. I will grant you that. But for the Clivester, no. Go yellow gold for the Clivester. Clivester's a power player. He needs yellow gold on wrist. Now here's one. Here's a lume shot with a little bit more ambient. Okay, just a touch more ambient. So there you go. I like the way it's reflecting on the edges there, the lume. The Lumester. Love the white gold with blue Roman's dial. Okay. There you go. Interesting, Rory Power kind of completely forgot it was there. David Williams in the house forgot it was even there. I like the textures of silver dial quadrant motif with Romans. I actually like having lume, so I wouldn't go the Roman route, but they are stunning. They are stunning. Okay. Let's see what other picture we got here. Let's see if we got another picture to show. Okay, so somebody said, well, no, it doesn't look good on wrist, you know, it doesn't look good in real life on wrist. It looks terrible. It's too big. It's too all of these things, right? Well, see, here we go. Here it is in real life on wrist, a working photographer, yours truly, and I'm wearing it. Can you imagine that? I'm actually wearing the watch. It looks pretty good on wrist to me. I don't know what you guys think about that. Of course, here it is right here. I think it looks pretty good on wrist. So, okay, I think we've debunked that argument that it doesn't look good on wrist, but let's take another wrist shot here. Let's find another one. Let's find another wrist shot where we can see the profile. Here, this one here, we can see a little bit of the profile. Okay. Let me full size this before I show you here. Okay. So here we go. I think it looks pretty good on wrist. I mean, it's kind of hugging the wrist there. Got nice shape to those lugs. A super case. They said I'm not supposed to call it a maxi case. So super case sub. Yeah, try to look like that, super case sub. Not gonna happen, folks. This is gorgeous. Can you say stunning? Can you say absolutely stunning? Yeah, I don't like the bracelet on those. That bracelet is absolutely stunning, folks. Looks a lot better than an oyster bracelet. It's got just enough bling with those small center links and everything else brushed and then polished on the edges there. It's got just enough bling, not too much, not too little. It is absolutely, objectively stunning. This is not an opinion here, folks. This is objectively stunning. Can you guys say in the chat, this is stunning? Okay? Tim is no dummy, okay? I'm not making this stuff. Look at his video. I put the link in the chat. Look at Tim's video that he released. Was it released today or yesterday? Anyway, that he just released. Let me see if I can find another shot here to show you guys. Let's see. I've got too much sun damage on my now this is the one downside, and this is you know, I grant you this. If you've got tight cuffs like I have on a lot of my shirts, everybody doesn't have this issue, right? But it's tricky to get this puppy to go underneath those lugs, underneath the cuff. It is tricky. I'll grant that. That's why we've got this puppy here that's thinner and smaller. It's only 39 mils and it's 12 mils thick. It'll go under all of my tight shirt cuffs. And I have a lot of tight shirt cuffs. It'll go underneath them. That is one of the things that this will not do, is go under a tight shirt cuff. Now again, if you don't have that problem with shirts, and if you wear a lot of short sleeve shirts like I'm wearing right now, then it's a non-issue issue. Okay. I like the texture. Okay. It's a good thing on date 8, having many choices. Why I do not understand why they restrict the options on date 836. I hear you. You can't get the black dial, that gorgeous black dial on the date 836 right now. Very tasty. What's tasty? Are you having lunch? I'm hungry. Watch Doctor, titanium bracelet, must make it light, like Tim says. Great dial and great lume, great tool watch. A little thick for my liking, but I can't complain. I hear you, Watch Doctor, but the stats, the fit on wrist belies the stats. I mean, this fits more like a thinner watch. It really does. It really hugs the wrist. I would normally not go for a 14 mil watch. This is 14 mils thick. But this one really does work. Now again, for a large sport watch, tool watch, everyday bang around, heavy use watch, okay? I would not call this an all-arounder. I would not call this a good one-watch solution, because it is a little bit big for that, I think. But if you want a watch that is very easy to read, that is very durable, that kind of is a great heavy-use sport watch, I think this is a good choice. I think you're going to have something else in rotation with it for dress purposes. This watch could be forced into an all-arounder role. That could be a beater, dress, travel, / everything watch. That could possibly be forced into that role. There is no watch that's perfect for every use case. There is nothing. But you could probably shoehorn that one into that role. Okay, let's see here. GS watches are really nice, I must admit, but the brand is soft. No one is impressed by a GS. Rolex, Breitling will impress most people. Yeah, I could care less what other people think about my watch. I buy the watch for me to wear, and if they don't like it, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you know, I wore Rolexes for 40 years, and very few people could care less what watch you wear. Now, the 18 karat gold date 8 does get a little bit of attention because it's 18 karat gold and it kind of, you know, jumps right out at you. But other than that, all the steel watches that I wore over the years, all the steel Rolexes, the GMT2s, the Sub, the Datejust, nobody could care less about them. You're delusional if you think that people care about what watch you wear. Again, with the exception being like an 18-karat yellow gold date 8, they're gonna notice that. But not any of these steel watches. You go out and buy like a steel Sub, they're not going to care. Nobody's going to care. So that's the reality of that. So you might as well buy what you want. Some of the new SGS watch releases from this year are beautiful. Thomas in the house. Yeah, you got to be selective. You really got to pick the watch that does it for you. I'm using the term now, measure 7 times and cut once. And by the way, I have a subscriber that's thinking about buying a 231. And I have another subscriber that just bought one from Steve a couple days ago. It's being shipped out. You might even have it by now. So the 231s are, Steve is selling them, and he's a high volume dealer, so he's able to get more 231s than some of the other ADs. They are starting to get a little bit harder to get, but he's got some juice with Grand Seiko, so he can get them. The Tudor Black Bay 58 is also a great option, but the Grand Seiko is a much better finish. Grand Seiko's, yeah, I would pass on any Tudors. I would tend to stay away from those. I think that's a non-starter. I'd pass on the Tudors. Okay, so Grand Seiko is great finish, better than Tudor, Breitling, and I believe they're in the Rolex Omega. They're actually better than Rolex and Omega as far as finishing and quality, overall quality. The Grand Seiko is going to trump those. That's a pretty easy call there. David Williams in the house, and Tanzil's in the house. Let's see here. 321. Greater than 231. The Clivester. Okay, so let's see if we got any other photos to show before we wrap up on the photo deal here. Let's see here. Maybe that's it. Maybe that be it. I don't think I can play a 4K video on this antiquated laptop. I bet you it'll jerk. Oops. Let me see what happens if I try to play this video. I bet you it's going to jerk, but let's try it. Let me start out by saying I'm not a watch collector. I'm a watch user. I use my watches as tools, just like my camera equipment. This 2010 MacBook Pro that I've got hooked up to the system will not handle playing a 4K Ultra HD video. So there's that. All right, so let's see what else. See if there's anything else that I should show you before I wrap this puppy up. Oh, I'm going to show you this picture that I took the day that I got it. The day that I got it at Little Treasury. I'll show you this picture here. There you go. There you go. It looked great a little over a year ago, and it looks fantastic now. It looks fantastic. And again, heavy use, folks. Not babied at all. I was, let me put this in. These should all be, well, anyway, I'll have to organize those later. Don't organize those when we're live. Okay, so here's the deal. And I talked about this. I did a video and talked about this. I think maybe I talked about it on a live stream. But anyway, I was at the Great Frederick Fair livestock show, and they were showing like the lambs and different things, and and I was up where they have like these big fencing, big steel fencing that's like 6 foot tall, and big round steel it's all steel, all heavy steel, this fencing. And there's about that much of a gap in between the horizontal pieces, right? Round pieces of fencing, whatever you want to call those. About that much space. So I'm taking my camera and I'm trying to put my camera through that space to get a clip so that I don't have to worry about the fencing being in the way, right? Maybe it was only like that much space, right? And so I'm doing this and I'm trying to get the shot and all that, right? And I don't have time to pay attention to where my watch is or what my watch is doing or whatever. I'm in the middle of shooting an event, right? And I'm trying to get some good angles here, right? And here goes the exposure thing on this camera. I got to fix that. That's bugging the heck out of me. Let me fix that. I'll finish the story in a second. All right, put it in manual exposure. Okay. All right, so here's the deal. So I'm reaching through this fence, and I mean routinely, not once or twice, but I'm like banging the watch against this. These are steel, horizontal members, and maybe once or twice on one of the vertical members, right? Just like a little dink, And every time I did it, I'm like, darn, I shouldn't have done that, right? But like, am I going to take the watch off and put it in my pocket? No. I freaking wear my watches, folks. All right? I don't give a rat's rear in what I'm doing. I wear the watch is on the wrist, okay? And so at the end of the night, I come back. I'm downloading my photos. It's late at night, and I didn't even bother to look at the watch. I didn't even look at it until the next day, and still fine. I mean, the bezel, everything. I mean, it's still pretty much fine. It has a few little fine swirls on it here and there, but I mean, no major damage at all. And so, yeah, thank goodness this titanium is tough stuff. A lot tougher than the stainless steel that Rolex uses, because a Rolex would have been beat to death doing that. I mean, it would have been like, like it went through a freaking war. Okay, but no, this Grand Seiko, tough stuff. Craig, would you say the titanium looks more like steel on the GS? Well, you tell me what it looks like. It looks pretty close. I mean, I've seen this watch next to the 231, I guess is the 229. What is it? 229, the one that's steel? I think so. Okay. Anyway, I've seen them side by side, and they're pretty close. Pretty close. Again, this is a special alloy of titanium. This isn't like what Tudor uses or any of these cheap brands use. This is a special alloy that is tough stuff that can take a shine, can polish up. It's a whole different ball game, folks. This isn't your ordinary titanium watch. Not by any stretch of the imagination is it ordinary. Okay. I think the titanium is polished so that it looks more like steel. Yeah, again, like I was just talking about that. It's a special alloy that allows it to take that kind of a polish and to look like that. You can't take regular run-of-the-mill titanium. I think Tim says this is grade 5 titanium, but I think it's a special grade 5. I don't even think it's a normal grade 5, but grade 5 in general will polish up more than a regular lower grade titanium, which is what a lot of the watches you see. The watches you see that are very like a dull gray color, that scratch very easily and all that, that's a different alloy of titanium than this. Okay, so you're comparing apples to oranges there if you compare that. Okay, so let me just refresh this, and then I'm going to get ready to go get something to eat is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do a little cookout tomorrow. Little cookout. That scratch very easily. There we go. All right, so let me just refresh this, make sure. I hate the Pelagos TI, feels cheap. Okay? And some people complain that that these feel cheap because they're lighter. I think it feels great. It's very comfortable. It feels very solid. It doesn't jingle. See when I move the watch around? It doesn't jingle. I'm pretty close to this mic, right? It's very solid. Again, most people that comment on these watches and that comment on a lot of watches, they didn't wear them on a daily basis for a year. They may have looked at them at a jeweler, or probably didn't even do that. Probably haven't even ever seen one in person, and they're commenting on it like they're an expert. So there's that. My own personal opinion is I love titanium, don't mind a gray look. Well, there you go. Okay, if you don't mind that, then you're good to go, because there are a lot of gray ones out there. They do scratch pretty easily, though, if people are worried about scratches. I'm not that worried about scratches, but they do scratch easily. And Jason's in the house, says hi, everyone. All right, let's take a time check here. And let me see if I can pull up the atomic clock so that we can see what time it is. I'm going to refresh this, because you got to refresh on this because it's not always accurate. So we'll see if we can get this to refresh, and we can do a time check. I like the look of titanium too. It comes in very useful on a heavier watch. Thomas in the house. Well, that's a good point, because the one on the screen right now, the 9F, and this one are about the same weight. Actually, to tell you the truth, that one's a hair heavier. But this one is 44 mils, and that one is 39 mils. This one's 14 mils thick, that one's 12 mils thick. So the titanium really makes a difference when you have a larger watch that you want to wear. Okay, so let's get here, here, and let's see if we can get a side-by-side going here. All right, so let's get this here, this one about right like that. So you guys tell me. It looks like it's pretty close to spot on to me. Pretty close to spot on. So that's an official time check of the GMT after a couple of months. I don't remember the exact day I got it, but it's been a couple months. And looks like it is doing pretty good. Pretty good next to the official time right there. So folks, what do you think? Okay, chime in with any questions, comments, whatever on the subject matter or not on the subject matter. Doesn't make any difference. Does the GMT have a clear sapphire case back? Not this one. I think they might have some that do, but this one does not have it. This one's one of their sport watches in their sport watch category that does not have that. So there are some watches with the GS movement that do have it, and it's kind of cool looking. The GS movement is pretty stunning looking. I mean, not GS, what am I saying? The 9F movement. New Hampshire wind turbine technicians watching up tower today. Okay, well, there you go. If he's up that high, he can get good reception on the phone, get a good connection. Get a good connection to the cell phone. There you go. All right, well, we're going to wrap this puppy up here pretty soon. Your diver is more accurate. I don't know about that. I think time will tell the tale on that. I think the 9F, I think they're going to be close, because my diver is like insanely accurate. But I think in the long run, the 9F might nose it out. I will know at the time change this fall. When we do the time change, we'll have to do a side-by-side and see which one is closer. Because I only change the time on these twice a year with daylight savings time. That's the only time you have to mess with these, because they're so accurate. This isn't like a Rolex where you have to set it like once a week and stuff. I mean, you know, no. You don't have to do that with these. The 9F is stunning. I wear it every day. There you go. the Netherlands. He's wearing the 9F. Let's see, the only thing I like about it is the dial. Okay, persona non grata says. Well, there's a lot of things I like about this one, and there's a lot of things I like about this one. Dial is just one element in the whole mix. Long list of things about this. By the way, there's some links in the description to the page I have on my website that talks about GS watches. And there's even a link to my section about Bitcoin. There's a link to my download section where there's a lot of cool information. And there's even a link to Little Treasury. And there's even a link to Tim's review of the 231. So don't take my word for it. Watch the review that Tim did. He's done a few on these, but this is one he did recently. Safety first, second and third priority. Absolutely. Absolutely, positively. Stay strapped in up there. If something's got to drop, let it be the phone. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up. Let's see, my new Rolex Date 840 is very accurate, about 2 seconds per week. Not as good as a spring drive, but yeah, the new ones with the new movements, Dudley's Date 840 is doing pretty good. I don't think Carlos's is that accurate, though. I don't think his is doing quite that good. I think his is actually running a little bit slow, which if a watch that's running slow, I can't go with that. It has to be running fast because it's so much easier to recalibrate it. Just stop it for a couple seconds and start it back up, and it's just so much easier than if the watch runs slow. So, three-stage planetary gear maintenance. Okay. Absolutely. All right, well, this has been a successful broadcast. We've been live the whole time. I think nice and steady, nice high-quality broadcast. And we were having some problems. We did some testing over at Adventure Park USA. And at first, they were trying to use Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi is just dog poop technology. It's just a terrible... the frequencies that were assigned to Wi-Fi are just dog poop frequencies. So anybody that says Wi-Fi is great, no, it's not. It's like saying a Tudor watch is great, right? Not true. But anyway, we're having all kinds of problems. And we finally went down to a wired connection. And I think it's going to be fine if he uses wired connection there. And so he's got some more equipment coming later this week. And we should have him fully set up so that... Eric at Adventure Park can do some live broadcasts from there with a similar setup to what I have here. So that's going to be exciting stuff. So let's do one more 9F time check. And again, make sure that you click subscribe, click the little bell so that you'll get a notification when we're live. And I think that's going to be a wrap. Let me get in here. Let's see. I hope they didn't pay you for that live stream. It was a mess. Oh my gosh, it was a mess. It was all testing. You can't when you when you set up at a new location and you're trying to live stream. When they've got Wi-Fi and they've got every Tom, Dick, and Harry trying to access that Wi-Fi, and I mean it's just a mess. It is not going to go well, right? But here's the thing. The concept is sound as far as the switcher and all that stuff and all the cameras he got and the gear he got for audio. That's all going to work. His only thing that we had to work out was the internet. And I think he's going to go with a wired connection. He's still talking about trying to get the Wi-Fi working, but that's going to be a real issue. So it's not easy doing what I'm doing right now is not as easy as it looks. I mean, it takes a little bit of finessing and setting up and different things that you have to do. And you have to have a nice, robust, solid internet connection. Even my connection here, which is Comcast, can sometimes, go on the fritz, right? Most of the time it's pretty solid, pretty robust. Like I'm streaming right now at 1080p, 5.3 megabits per second, which is a pretty good bit rate, right? But it can hiccup sometimes. But when you're using wireless, no. No. Not when you're trying to stream at this kind of bit rate. If you're trying to use like your phone just to stream some kind of garbage stream with real low bit rate and very, very poor quality stream, you can do that over Wi-Fi probably, at least for a little while. But no, not if you're trying to push 5.3 megabits per second, 1080p stream. That's not going to happen. So here's somebody in the house with a lot of symbols, and the Rolex crown. All right, so we're going to wrap this puppy up. Hey, stay tuned. There's going to be some exciting times ahead. Hey, click subscribe, click the little bell.